What up YouTube, my name is Gene from POV Drives. Today we're driving a 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4xE high altitude. We have Mike with us who's gonna tell us about the vehicle while we're driving. Right now we're gonna be driving in 2 high and we're in e-save mode. So we can get a better performance while we're doing 0 to 60. All right, let's go for a drive. All right, what's up, Mike?
How's it
Again,
going?
my name is Gene. Let's talk about this vehicle a little bit. Can you tell us what changes are made for 2024 model?
So, coming from a 2023 to 2024, they did kind of a mid-model refresh. So, there's a couple things we're going to look at. Right off the bat, you can notice with the center stack, you do have the new Uconnect 5 system, which a lot of people have been asking for. They've been on a lot of our cars, and now it's in the Wrangler. It's a 12-inch screen, very customizable. You got 2 split screens here. Most importantly, everyone always wanted wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. So it's a very nice feature to have. This is an Android operating system, so it's supposed to be a lot quicker, faster, and it does update over the air, unlike some of our other radio systems in the past. They run a new navigation system on here, so it's TomTom navigation. If you're into using that, it's all supported. It's got traffic, weather built in. Of course, being a 4xE, you have all the 4xE hybrid pages you could go into, such as e-hybrid. So we're actually right here showing being an e-save and battery charge. We're going to try to charge up the battery a little bit more while we're driving today.
And then actually the battery went up by 3% already. We started with 21% and right now it's at 24%. So we are currently in motor only, which is a 2.0 motor. And what's the horsepower and torque just on the motor?
So you get 375 horsepower and 470 torque. Right.
That's including the motor and the battery.
Yes, that's including it. You have a motor on the engine, and you have a motor that actually replaces the torque converter in the transmission. It's called P1 and a P2 motor. I believe the P1 motor is it's basically like an e-torque type system on the front of the engine, and then you have your P2 motor, which has a clutch in there that helps switch between those 2 modes that goes in there.
Because right now we're driving in e-save, and it's actually not bad. Like, it's not sluggish.
And you could also see here, it's showing at any given point if it's charging the battery. So since we're in that e-save battery charge mode, and we're also using max regeneration, we're using 2-wheel drive, you could see right now the negative number means we're actively charging the battery, so -7, -18 kilowatts, and we're using the engine right here. So this is kind of a cool display of how it's actually driving and what power is it's being used at any given moment.
Okay, that's pretty cool. It's actually, I'm surprised, it's actually driving really well.
It's pretty smooth and responsive. So the architecture, they used some of the architecture from the e-torque, which was on the Rams. So they developed that for the 2-liter 4-cylinder, which was in the Wranglers. I believe that debuted when they released it. I'd have to double check on that. But they have had that motor for quite a while. They were in our Renegades, they were in our Compasses, Cherokees, and of course the Wranglers, and that was their 4xE powertrain, that 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo. So that was a big step. A lot of people like that for the, kind of more torque, a little bit more peppier than your V6, and of course with all the electric components, it really adds up. It's not as, of course, fast as the 392, but it definitely boogies, it definitely moves, and a lot of people like that kind of instant acceleration that you get with those electric motors, which it makes driving a Wrangler a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, but even with even on e-save mode, so with just on the motor now and recharging the battery, it doesn't feel super slow. It doesn't feel like I have to get out and push it. So which is a surprise to me, because last time I drove a Wrangler was like back in 2013 with a V6, and that vehicle, to go anywhere you literally have to floor it every single time, which was very annoying. But on this one, it's not too bad. I'm actually surprised. Mike, could you tell us, let's say, 5 of your favorite features for the new 2024?
So the new 2024, one of my first favorite features, and it's something that's kind of very silly, but I think it's important when a lot of people buy these cars. Something as simple as you have side curtain airbags. You never want to think about getting in an accident, but I know in the history of Wranglers, they tend to be top heavy. I like that because I'm big on safety. Another thing that's really I enjoy, which I would continue on number one, was all the standard safety features. You have collision sensors, backup sensors, blind spot sensors. You're going to get all those sensors right off the bat on pretty much most of these models. They've made that standard. My number two would definitely be the screen. Having that, it's super customizable going through home, adding different shortcuts. Wireless is also really great. And let me see if it has it on this particular model. But they are actually, because this is Android operating system, they're able to release more updates for these cars. And there is updates coming to these for trail maps. So I've seen them on some of our cars, where essentially you're going to get Jeep kind of, badge of honor trails that they show, as well as other trails. And that is part of some of the new 2024 4xEs. Another thing that's really great, and a lot of people have actually tried to almost reverse engineer, is this particular car does have what's called a Jeep 4xE power box, which essentially makes the e-save and battery charge mode much more important. So a lot of people like to overland now. They're going out on the dunes, they're going out on the sand, they're going out in the forest, what have you. And they actually bring their own generators. But now this car can actually operate as a generator itself. So the Jeep 4xE power box comes on select models, really high altitudes and Rubicon X's. And essentially, you plug it into the outlet right outside. You have 4 ports. I believe they're rated at 30 amps. And you can plug in toasters, ovens, anything that, will require such power. And essentially, your Wrangler is now this off-roading rig that you could use for a generator. Which
that's pretty cool. So when you go camping, you can plug something in.
Yeah, you can plug in whatever you like. A lot of people will lug around those big, Jackery power boxes, and you got to charge them and everything. Well, this car is basically your generator right here, which is awesome. I really do like that. And then another thing that's always kind of interesting, but you have power seats now, which is very nice. A lot of people have been asking for that, so that's come. These particular models, the 2024, will also have kind of more sound deadening. So they do have the Gorilla Glass, pretty much standard on a lot of the models, but now you're going to get, on the high altitudes, your acoustic door glass in the front, thicker carpet, sound deadening. So as quiet as a Wrangler could be, it's not perfect, but considering we have a convertible top, you can't really hear it now. You can't really hear the word.
It's not loud at all, but once we go on the highway, that's actually one of my points that I wanted to take a look at, is how loud does this get?
Yeah, it will still get loud, but they've kind of gone through trials and tribulations, how to fix things, make the glass thicker, make the carpet a little thicker. Overall, it still is a convertible canvas top, so you're always going to get some play. But considering, you press one button and the whole thing opens and closes, I think it definitely has its perks. It
actually opens up in under 30 seconds and closes under 30 seconds as well. Last time that I was in one, I actually timed it. So full on open and close was less than 1 minute, which is pretty fast to me.
Yeah, it is. And considering that you could open and close it at up to speeds of around 55 to 60 miles an hour, you get caught in a rainstorm, you press a button, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
Instead of parking, having to press a button, go through go through a certain operation, it's one button and you're good.
Yeah. Well, I'm noticing that the suspension is kind of stiff. So I guess that's one of the things they did to counter rollovers and things like that.
That, and off the top of my head, I believe these are 500 pounds heavier than the gas models. So that comes into play too. It's really the hybrid components, and being a high altitude, it's, probably has some extra goodies in there, like, that weighed down a bit. But they do have a little bit stiffer suspension on the 4xEs, considering, compared to the gas versions. So they do have a little bit stiffer suspension.
It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. It's still riding very smooth. Like on local road, right now we're just driving in residential neighborhoods around town. and it's not bad at all. And we're in e-save mode, as I've mentioned previously. And just to mention, when we left the lot, we were at 21% battery. Right now we are at 34% battery. So actually we charged it up really well. So literally 10% in what, 10 minutes or less?
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And the really bright spot of these plug-in hybrids is your local driving. I know a lot of people will kind of get sticker shock when they see that it gets 21 electric miles. In real world, a lot of people are getting better, mid-20s depending on how you're driving. But if you're driving locally, you're using your max regeneration, which amps up the recharge and the regen braking. You're going to start to get a lot more miles out of your electric motors, electric battery and everything.
So realistically, let's say in the real world, when someone, let's say, buys this vehicle, what will be the mileage that they can get combined?
So the combined, that's always a good question. So there is a number on the window sticker. It says 49 MPGe. MPGe is this big fancy number that the government and the EPA made to kind of break down which, how to break down electric and gas. Essentially, MPGe is the distance. They calculate a gallon of gasoline to be 33.7 kilowatt hours of energy, and they base that number to factor in. They use that to base the next number on. The best way I tend to describe these as is you're going to get around 22 to 24 electric miles, and on the actual 4-cylinder, you're going to get your mid 20s. So you're looking at probably around 25, 26 plus the electric motors or the electric battery assists all that. It all varies based on how you're driving, but there are counters on here that will show you. So it might show you like you're doing 50 miles per gallon, but the numbers get very skewed. So a lot of people, if I had to say to average it out, I'd say you'd get above 30 if you kind of combined everything.
Okay, so right now in e-save mode, guys, we're around town. We're getting basically somewhere between 15.5 to 16 miles per gallon.
And the reason why it's doing that is actually the e-save battery charge mode will use up a little bit more gas, so you're going to actually kind of lose on the MPGe or the MPGs, but you'll kind of gain it on the battery. In most cases, the most efficient way to drive it is hybrid mode, or if you want to take it a step further and really get into it, you really want to use max regen, turn that on at all times, and put it in electric locally, because the electric is most efficient locally, e-save on the highway. In those three modes, they basically change the bias of what it uses. So every Wrangler 4xE, it's always a hybrid, so it won't purely be electric, it won't purely be gas. It does balance both. Hybrid is that default mode, which I like to describe as a 50-50 mix of both. Then you have your electric, which is mostly electric with some gas if you do request it with the pedal. And then your e-save, which is your gas mode, and it will use a little bit of electricity if you require it in certain situations.
It's not bad. Our battery now is at 40%.
Yeah.
All right, so we were on point, 3 points we discussed as far as the positives. What will be a point number 4 in your opinion?
Number 4 is, of course, the Sky one-touch roof. That's a big selling point. Ever since they come out with that, people have been buying them, especially in this area, Bergen County, New Jersey. Most people don't want to take their tops off, unfortunately. I do like doing that. But
you're the only one.
I'm the only one. I'm the only one. I actually I go to people's houses and I do it for them. That's how much they don't want to do it. But yeah, that's a big seller. Everyone loves it. It combines the hard exterior with the soft convertible top, and like you said, 30 seconds or less to open and close the top. Not even the aftermarket, my tops you see on some Wranglers do it that quickly. So, Jeep really hit it out of the park with this system. And it opens and closes. We had a big snowfall, no leaks inside, no bows. It has all these structure for rigidity in this top, and the way they designed it, they've kind of learned over the years about certain designs, and they've kind of improved it to make it really, really tight and rigid, which is nice.
For the winter time, I noticed that this vehicle also now high altitude comes standard with heated seats. heated steering wheel, and those are the two luxury features that are standard on high altitude, correct?
Yes, you do get that. You also will get an app called Jeep Connect, which comes standard with all of the 4xEs, where you could actually remotely function your car, such as lock, unlock, start your car from your phone, which a lot of people tend to have a positive experience with, being able to start it from your phone versus the key. You'll also have proximity entry, which is another great feature with these cars. You keep your key in your pocket, you grab the handle, it unlocks automatically.
And that's pretty cool, actually, since that's also standard on high altitude or on all of them.
For the most part, you'll have that standard on most of the models. I believe on the Sport it's still optional. But we get mostly high altitudes and Rubicons here. Willys as well. We'll get the Willys. Or Willis, as some people will call it. So I know that's a big debate. I like saying Willys.
Potato, right?
Exactly. So, but yeah, we have quite a bit of 4xE models, and they're coming out with more too. We got Rubicon X. We got. We're going to have the Sports finally coming now. They weren't released. They were supposed to release when they first came out with. So we're getting some Sports, some Sport S's. So we're getting quite a bit of variety, and I love the different colors that you can get. All the variations, you could really modify them any which way you like.
This one is actually silver, so it actually looks pretty good. I've seen the dark green, and I wish it was a little bit lighter, because they made it so dark that it kind of looks brown, at least to me.
Yeah, sarge green in the dark can look brown. It's a lot of the I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Green actually is my favorite color, but I totally understand that Jeep kind of goes on the spectrum where they'll get gecko green and they'll get mojito green, and it's like bright in your face green, and then they'll go straight to sarge green, which is super dark. I kind of wished I'm on that same boat with you. They had something right in the middle. I think that would be the next.
So right now we are done driving around town, and we were in e-save mode, recharging the battery. Now we charge up the battery from 21% to 44%. So now we're gonna switch it to hybrid mode and take a drive on the highway. Hybrid mode will be the best performance mode, correct?
Yes, the hybrid mode will be the best. If you're doing from a standstill, some people will do the e-save, but on the highway, I would put it in 4 high auto, because you will engage that quicker. That way you get kind of more of it.
Now here's our question. When you are in 4 high auto, is there a limit on the speed limit? Let's say, how fast can you drive in that mode?
For 4 high auto, that's a very good question. Actually, I'm not sure. I do know the 4 high part-time, you're pretty much limited around 60 miles an hour. With the auto, I would imagine it's the same deal. But if you're going that fast, you tend to want to slow down before you go into 4-wheel drive anyways. But you should be able to shift it up to 60 miles an hour.
Now, can you shift it on the fly, or do you have to be fully stopped?
Yeah, the Jeep does recommend now to shift it on the fly. It's smoother, and in terms of 2 high and 4 high auto, it's not like you're really changing the gears right there. It actually it's buttery smooth when you pull it right back. The 4 high part-time, you obviously want to do that while you're driving. You could still do that in neutral like a lot of people did way back, but on the fly is my choice.
On the fly, so when you're still driving?
Yes.
Okay, cool. What is this person doing? Okay, buddy. All right, so we're gonna see how that feels when we overtake this vehicle. Well, that is not bad at all for a Wrangler. We got some snow overflowing us.
Yes. Let's see if our front camera still's got snow on it.
Nope.
It's pretty cool how you can see the lines and everything of your tires. And if it is snowy, you actually can clean it, which is awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that for the rear or the front?
It does, I think it engages the rear. Yep, it engages the rear as well. So it does the front camera and the back glass, which is a really nice feature if you plan on off-roading. Certain models. The high altitude probably wouldn't be the #1 off-road option, but they are very capable in terms of off-roading. They're all trail rated, as all Wranglers are. They still have the same water fording capability as the gas models, so just as equipped, if not better. Especially with those electric, the electric torque that you get. It really makes rock crawling a lot more kind of enjoyable and manageable.
So when we're driving like this normally, let's say somebody went on a highway drive and they have it on e-hybrid mode, right? Well, they have it just in hybrid mode, not E. If they switch it to fully electric mode and the battery depletes to, let's say, 1%, can they put it back to recharge and it's gonna charge back up to, let's say, 40%, or is that really not gonna happen on the highway?
You can, yes. I've taken trips with these and the Grand Cherokees, and I made it a point to run out of electric and drive and try to charge as much. It's actually kind of fun to do. I've gotten up to 34-40%, give or take. So you can actually charge it. You know, of course, keep the max regen on. That's very important. Keep your e-save, and make sure when you're using your e-save, you want to do battery charge. That's really going to ramp up the kinetic energy going back into the batteries.
That's a good point. Right now our MPGe went up to actually from 15 to 17.5 already, and that's just going consistently, let's say 50-55 miles an hour, trying to avoid these crazy people.
Yeah.
Okay, and not too bad. And I have to note that it is not loud at all. Like, yeah, I hear some wind noise, you know, because the vehicle is so boxy, I guess. It's not so aerodynamic. It's not an F1 car, but it's not bad. I was expecting it to be a lot worse, to be honest with you. So this is surprising to me. Now the MPGs are climbing up to 18, already 18.2, which is also not too bad. And correct me if I'm wrong, you can also put it in like electric mode, and according to the book, it will be what, 21 miles or so just on electric mode?
Yes, you'll get your electric miles up top here, which will show it. It shows your percentage charge, so you'll get all that right there. And you will be able to see on a day-to-day basis with your e-hybrid pages, so driving history. This will give you a good idea of what you're using on any given moment at any given day. It shows 2 weeks of data in terms of what we're doing with the battery. So today, we're using a little bit more engine, a little bit of battery, and if I go to the regeneration history, it's showing how much kilowatt hours were gained by using the max regen, and it just in general coasting and braking. So this gives you a good idea of how to drive, how you're driving, and how to improve your driving habits. That's key.
That's actually pretty interesting, because that's gonna help someone, you know, improve their driving and reduce their fuel consumption. Because we are at 20 miles to the gallon already in our hybrid mode. So we literally went from 14.7, 15 miles to the gallon to 20.3 at this point, just literally being on the highway for the last 5 minutes, which is not a bad thing. And we are in a hybrid mode right now. So to me, that's pretty decent actually. Although our battery did go down from 44% to 25% now.
Yeah, it is quick when you see those numbers. It's very skewed because you're getting 21 electric miles. Every mile essentially is 5%, so that does tend to drain fast. Ideally, draining it is perfectly fine. When you're at 1%, it's never truly empty. They say you have about a 15% buffer at the bottom, so it's not going to feel any slower. It won't feel any quicker. Whether you're at 100% charge, whether you're at 50, 0% charge, you'll always have some electric still in there.
So you always have full power. The power you talked about, that it has 375 horsepower, and what was the torque?
470.
470 torque. So you always have that.
Always have that. The only thing you won't get is pure electric sometimes, and depending on what mode you are, it'll just use the gas more frequently.
You know, I have to note that the vehicle is definitely has pickup. Even just overtaking that strange driving minivan that was in front of us, it definitely has some pep.
Yeah, considering Wranglers, and you know, they've never been known to be fast. Like you said, they're like a box on wheels.
Yeah.
So they're very unaerodynamic.
What will be your, let's say, as a daily user, what would be your 5 least favorite things about the Wrangler?
Probably the 5 least favorite things. The visibility can be a little tough. Of course, they've kind of beefed up the windshield, but sometimes they do crack. They have designed this Gorilla Glass, so it's a lot thicker, and they actually knocked it back, I think, about 15 degrees from the previous JK model. But the wind noise can be something, even though you don't really hear it.
So that's point number 2?
Yeah, that would be probably point number 2. Really, other than that, I don't mind the drives of these. You obviously can't take corners like a BMW, so its handling isn't as good as another
Well,
car.
BMW is gonna get a checkpoint light after that corner, so.
Yeah, check engine light and you'll go to...
Oh yeah, check engine, checkpoint light.
Yeah.
What am I talking about? Well, point number 3, I noticed that
Sure.
I'm 6'3",
That's a big deal.
and I feel I wouldn't say cramped, but I feel like I'm a little bit big for this vehicle. Although I'm not, you know, a big, I will say, framed, like I don't have a gut, you know, I'm not a fat ass.
Yeah.
Excuse my language, but let's speak the truth, right? Like I don't look like I'm 18 months pregnant.
No.
And still, I feel as I'm a little bit at the limit of comfort in this vehicle. So that will be point number 3, but it's not bad. Like, it's not bad. You just have to, I feel like all it takes is probably a week of adjustment, you know, or just getting used to it. It's like getting a new phone, you know.
Yeah.
You switch from an iPhone to Android or vice versa, and it's probably going to take a couple days or let's say a week to adjust, and then you just be like natural to you. So that will be my point number 3. Point number 4 for me would probably have to deal with how narrow it feels. Like, it does not feel like a wide vehicle. You know, let's say my daily driving vehicle would be a Ram 1500, and I feel good in that truck, you know, or let's say some sedan. But in the Wrangler right at this time, like I do feel that it's not as narrow, but it could be a good point, you know, when you on a date with your girlfriend and you don't have to reach that far.
No. Yes.
So that's a good point, right? You have to be able to see the positives and everything, right, as they say.
Oh, yeah.
Number 5, my least favorite feature, to be honest with you guys, sometimes when I see a Wrangler driving towards me, I feel like they're blinding the hell out of everybody. And those are OEM headlights. I feel like they can have a little bit better of adjustment. But a cool feature about it that they're putting in nice LED headlights and not halogen headlights from 25 years ago that some cars are still using, you know. So those are the 5 favorite and 5, I would say, least favorite features that we can come up with. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think and what are your favorite features of the Wrangler. Can be high altitude or any Wrangler that you have driven or you own. Right now we're gonna go on a quieter street, and we're gonna try to do 0 to 60 to really get that acceleration. 2024 Jeep Wrangler 4XE high altitude. Right now we're gonna do 0 to 60. We are in hybrid mode 4H auto. All right, let's get ready, and we're gonna start rolling. 1, 2, 3.